When I tell people where I learned to do stem cell research, I say I learned from Larry Goldstein. Throughout the world, people know who he is, they know of his work.
I think because Larry epitomizes the spirit of exploration of UC San Diego, most specifically stem cell research. And I think he is the personification of the Revelle medal.
He has really made a difference, the quality of research all across California. And I think that's really amazing.
You know, I've always tried to make an impact on people, on science, on institutional structures and programs. And this environment here at UC San Diego has been incredibly hospitable for that kind of work. I was a transfer student to UC San Diego, so I came from a junior college. I transferred here as a junior, and I didn't have a clue. I was, struggling to survive my courses, and I really didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. So I had taken a genetics course from Dan Lindsley, who was an icon here, and that was the start of my scientific career. And it turned out that I loved doing experimental science. I loved the atmosphere of a lab. That was an incredibly formative experience. It changed me from a drifter, effectively, to a committed scientist. While I've been at UC San Diego, I've been fortunate to participate in the development of multiple programs that didn't exist beforehand. The genetics training program, the UCSD stem cell program, Sanford Consortium with a bunch of collaborators and friends.
And we came up with this idea of having the Sanford Stem Cell Clinical Center. And T. Denny Sanford agreed, a united effort here to take these erudite discoveries and bring them to the clinic with alacrity is what we need.
So he was the first one to understand how important this was, and he is now our representative on the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine board. So from the very beginning until today, he has been the strongest advocate for stem cell research in California.
There wasn't that much stem cell research at UC San Diego in 2004 or 2005 when we helped make Prop 71 a reality, and then we had to have campus programs that would take advantage of it.
He got me interested in stem cell research, and he provided insight into how you can use different types of techniques like single cell sequencing to get new insights. Larry was a very, very strong advocate not to accept stem cell therapies without very, very vigorous research. He was very strongly opposed to simply saying, we have stem cells, let's see how they work. He said, no, they should be held up to the same rigor that we do for all types of therapeutics, and that we can develop very clever clinical trials to see whether or not these stem cell interventions are going to be useful.
I mean, everything that really works and has, real impact is often, maybe usually, some sort of collaboration. And that kind of approach has always motivated me.
One of the things I always remember Larry saying when I would listen to him give talks was that the nice thing about being at UCSD was that we build bridges and we don't work in silos. And that's always been a major theme of the work I've done with Larry and then in my own lab. So I always have felt that working collaboratively, you not only your ideas get better, and you quite honestly can get work done better and faster.
I care about doing things that nobody else would do that change people, change lives. When I started working with the government, for example, back in the 90s, most scientists would have nothing to do with that. But the political system has to learn to be comfortable with this sort of work. And if scientists such as myself don't go explain it to them, who's going to do it?
He understands how the government and politics works. Larry was able to work with the key thought leaders for the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine, with the politicians who are supporting it, with the governor's office, with everyone to tell the public what did we accomplish, and to be fair, what we didn't accomplish. It's very different political skill that Larry has. And I think without that, we would not be where we are today. We would not have renewed California Institute for Regenerative Medicine.
I mean, I often tell scientists, if they don't get involved in working with the government, non-scientists will decide everything about our field. Funding levels, regulations, what you can and can't do. And that would be terrible for science.
I think his legacy will really be moving the field of stem cell research forward. I think that when we started, there were a lot of people who just thought it wouldn't work, who thought we couldn't see what we wanted to see in these cells. And now the number of labs who are using this as a model is growing exponentially. I think he should continue to be recognized for that.
You know, if you look at people that shaped our country and were willing to go into uncharted territory, they put their lives on the line, their reputations on the line, and they still did it. That is Larry.
I think it's very fair to say Larry Goldstein transformed research across California, that every single institute that now has a stem cell facility would not have had it without Larry's championing the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine. So I've had the opportunity to visit most of them, and they're spectacular, and they would not be there if it wasn't for Larry Goldstein's work.